What if I told you the next antagonist could be deduced from Bayonetta 3's final end credit scene? This gave me 4 questions from all these post-game hints that I am going to answer for you all right now. Is there any more additional proof that no one else has proposed yet about the original Bayonettas being alive? Why the fuck didn't Rodin help at all? How they should have properly implemented Rodin into the story? And what do all of these have to do with the next antagonist? Of course, we know that Brave Cereza freeing the variants, including the Scarborough Fair and Love Blue Bayonettas, hint that they all returned to their respective timelines since the Brave timeline was restored and returned back to normal. But sometimes we need more evidence more than more optimism. This picture of Viola's selfie after the death of Brave Cereza due to the scarf, there is that mysterious woman with glasses conversing with Rodin. Viola, being the GenZ-kid-she-is, takes a selfie, which likely means they've already formed a sort of bond of some sort. Heck, even framing it, the woman bears resemblance to the casual outfit that Brave Cereza wore in the prologue. So I like to theorize that there are small rips in the multiverse that are left after the game's events, because there are no confirmations whether or not the paths to the multiverse, aka Thule, are still opened or closed. But that theory is only second to who I think this really is. Put a pin in this because I promise you, this will all make sense, but we have to deduce something else first. Crazy Gal put forward an idea that I think is amazing. Having a Bayonetta return as the main focus and protagonist would take away the light that Brave Cereza bestowed upon to Viola in the end. So she proposed the idea of Viola meeting various Cereza variants that are alive, who can both teach her ancient Umbran magic as well as a perfect opportunity to reference back to Brave Cereza and her own biological mother even. Maybe asking questions if she is alive or not. Therefore, Bayonetta 4, or whichever future game continues Viola's arc, will and should revolve around Viola learning more about her mother and how to be the best Umbran witch for the mantle of Bayonetta. A great example of the level of involvement that I think if any Cereza variant returns in future games would be like, spoilers for The Office by the way, like how Michael Scott appeared in the final episode at Dwight's wedding. It was a very nostalgic reveal. He even made a few very little remarks here and there, but did an amazing job at not taking away from the other characters. That's the approach I think they should go with for returning Cereza variants, unless they want to render everything they did to pass the torch onto Viola useless. Moving on. The way both Scarborough Fair and Love Blue Bayonetta disappeared, as well as the other variants in space, was actually quite similar to someone we know. Shoutouts to you, Vengeance, for pointing this out. The disintegration into light blue particles likely means that they have been reborn, reincarnated, or returned to any point in the multiverse where they came from. We obviously know that Loki didn't die in Bayonetta 2's timeline, and will be back sometime in future games as an adult. You know what? Let me ask him himself.
Listen, let's always fight for redemption. Hashtag Team Loki, right?
Team Loki, let's go, you know?
Yeah, let's go. Let's do it. Yeah, I mean, I think in a universe as so special as Bayonetta, I think anything is possible. So I think never say never. Loki, I think it was something, you know, somewhere around this, there, love.
This is another reason why the multiverse will eventually open, because it's going to be a wasted opportunity if they don't make Viola meet adult Loki. And shoutouts to you, Cyberspace Samurai, I absolutely love this idea, where Loki wittingly says, "Sorry love, but you still don't remind me of a Bayonetta," when they first meet, which is sort of a mental test for Viola as well. That was my best British accent, oh my god. But adding onto the disintegration, it looks like if the Umbran witches die, they disintegrate into red particles, while Lumen Sages disintegrate into yellow ones, fitting for Inferno and Paradiso contractees. However, if they are last seen disintegrating into light blue particles, it's likely that they have been restored and are somewhere now in the multiverse. Therefore, remember how Brave Jeanne was last seen disintegrating into blue? As sad and as fitting as that was, what if her way of coping with her Brave Cereza's death was to dye her hair black and pay homage to her best friend in this timeline? I know a lot of Bayo Jeanne fans are watching. If the laws of disintegration are true in this lore, then Brave Jeanne must still be alive and must have met up with Rodin, Enzo, and Viola, and they just emitted it from this end credit scene. I think Jeanne would be the perfect aunt for Viola. They didn't have any more interactions besides chapter 1 of Bayonetta 3, and she will be the one to teach her Umbran magic as a sort of foster mother or foster aunt for her, since that's the only sort of remnant of her best friend left. Imagine seeing Brave Jeanne with long black hair and wearing things that Brave Cereza left for her, because oh my god, this is gonna be so sad as well, but it's likely that if Brave Jeanne is still alive, she came home to an empty house or an empty apartment, if they were initially living together in this timeline. So I theorize that this is Brave Jeanne, who was resurrected and is back at the gates of hell, which is why she was socially worthy enough to be framed in Viola's room. And great news, since we have the best proof of them returning to their timelines, Platinum Games can just make whatever game they want to in the Bayonetta franchise now. They can continue off the original Bayonetta's arc, so that way you can still have a continuation arc for Viola in the Brave Brave timeline as a separate game. But oh my god, I just thought of something cool. I theorize after Viola's character development game and after the continuation of the original Bayonetta's games, what if we might potentially have a grown-up Viola meeting the two original Bayonettas in the very far future? That would be quite sweet, because I think this is what Brave Cereza would have wanted or foresaw. Brave Cereza gave her the mantle, therefore it's like the three Bayonettas are back, with Viola being the next generation carrying on Brave Cereza's, well, name, or more so, blessing. But the plot of Bayonetta 4, I predict, will have a more human world element to it, considering Viola has just finished a multiversal threat, or helping take down the singularity. I think her next arc is to take things a little slower, and this is where we will be fighting on the human front. MCU spoilers, but similar to how Spider-Man After No Way Home is taking on more citywide threats, more than the cosmic ones after the Thanos arc. Viola could also be receiving training from Rodin, because I like to think that he is a sort of uncle figure to her, since he's obviously mastered infernal magic, but I also theorize Viola will be exploring more of Earth and stumbling upon the Brave Timeline's Fimbulventer, and you know it, Jackie knows it, the Loki from the Brave Timeline, the one who potentially gave the cards to Brave Cereza. Viola will likely be learning more things about the world of chaos that we all don't even know about yet either. I would absolutely love this timeline's Loki to recount his versions or his timeline's version of events with Brave Cereza. You see Rodin having 3 empty cocktail glasses. Shoutouts to Maeve for sending these in too. And a cool little detail to remember also, Viola uses a mug while she is in the Gates of Hell. Maeve theorized that this is another indirect hint of Jeanne or Bayonetta being alive, or at least he's preparing for any Cereza variants that might come and visit the Gates of Hell if they are lost or have nowhere else to go. This quite links back to Crazy Gal's theory where we will meet certain Cereza variants popping out of nowhere to teach Viola about the Bayonetta mantle and family name, and even Umbran magic. And I also think this is another support for Brave Jeanne being alive and back in the Brave timeline. Or remember how there is only one version of Rodin in the multiverse, and he's definitely met 2 witches that we are all familiar with. What if he knows that Scarborough Fair and Love Blue Bayonetta are back safe in their respective timelines? Maybe he's preparing to meet up with them in his Gates of Hell. By the way, we came to this because Rodin had 3 glasses that are empty in front of him. We're very broken at this point. There are a few amazing reasons why the human sphere of threats is starting. 1. The organization that evil Sigurd temporarily took over since he switched with the real Sigurd from the Brave timeline. I still think that organization is running, but more so trying to fix up the aftermath of Bayonetta 3 and the tiny rips of the multiverse, at least in their timeline alone. It'd be awesome to see if one of Brave Sigurd's proteges or successors continued his work. Another thing also, the advent and reveal of magic and mythical beasts to the general public may incline others to dive into the act of superheroes and magic arts. More so magic arts, but could Viola be the one to inspire her generation of kids whom will get into Umbran and Lumen Sage arts for the modern world? Hence, we may just see the advent of the true 2nd generation male Umbran witches and female Lumen Sages that Viola will eventually inspire, leading to new characters. I'm not sure how Lumen Sages will come back, but maybe another character has been in hiding all this time. But who will be these human threats? Or at least one of them. The glimmer of hope, which is the continuation of magic and the Umbran witches, is Viola. But with this advent comes a counterbalance. And I can't believe I'm saying this again. One of them being someone who I think is an absolute wasted opportunity if they leave him as a joke character. My favorite theory, second to the Maddie theory, which was proven right. Will Eggman the Destroyer's variant in the Brave timeline be the one to verse Viola in Bayonetta 4? What if this variant was waiting for Brave Cereza to be out of the picture before he set out his plan for Earth? Since the Eggman in the first game's timeline had his plan interfered by the witch in Remembrance. Could his ulterior motive be money, political domination, or maybe he wants a sort of power to revive someone that he loved who died due to the multiversal glitches that happened in Bayonetta 3? I also believe seeing an antagonist that doesn't have a god complex this time around would be a refreshing and relatable concept for the Bayonetta franchise, and also very fitting for Viola's adventures as an Umbran witch in training. Then the next games we will see her really matured out, well deserving of the Bayonetta mantle. Is this why Rodin is staying in this timeline? I'm betting he knows someone is going to be livid hearing that the strongest witch is now gone. I'm rockin' and never get disheartened.